Welcome to Mishna study Masechet Shabbat Perek Mishna He. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to speak about potentially cooking or having the law of cooking, even when something is off the flame already, right? So when we cook something, the pot that we cook it in, that's called a kli dishon, right? The first, utensil, the first pot that we're cooking it in, and then when we move that, even when it's off the flame, it's still considered a kli dishon. When we pour it into the next dish or the next cup, that item, that serving plate, that'll be called a kli sheni. Right? So that's what we're going to speak about over here. Are we allowed to go ahead and add something to a kli dishon, even when it's off the flame, or is that still considered cooking? So meham shepinahu, if you have an urn that you emptied it, right? Harambam translates pinahu over here, emptied it, but Tuna actually translates it as took it off the flame, right? He actually pinahu from the esh. Over here, Harambam is pinahu from the water inside. Now, what he says is you don't fully, totally empty it. You emptied some of it. Now, even though you emptied some of it, you can't add cold water to it. Why? Because you're heating up the water. In order for it to heat up, because you're heating up water. Right? On Shabbat, that's not allowed. But you are allowed to put it in it, right? You're allowed to put in the urn some, a little bit, right? It's a lot of water, or into a cup, which is a kli sheni, right? In order to cool it off, right? So it seems like everything according to Rambam over here is going to according to your kavanah. If you're putting it in order to heat it up, that's not allowed. If you're putting it in order to cool off, that would be okay, right? Because you're not doing it in order to heat up. Before we go on, so I just point out over here, that's why Rambam explained it, that we're talking about that you emptied some of the water from this urn and you're pouring more water inside. This Mishnah is according to the Yehuda, right? And his opinion is actually dahui, right? It's pushed off. It's not halacha. Rather, you're allowed to put litim tuchomayim, even if there's no water inside. You're allowed to go ahead and pour, cold water in there as well, and that would be okay. Now the Mishnah continues. If you have this lefas and kedera, right? So these two types of pots that were on the flame, and you took them off while they were still hot, right? You can't go ahead and put spices into these kli dishons, right? Into these pots. But what are you allowed to do? Once you put it into a serving plate, you transfer it from the kli dishon into a kli sheni, you are allowed to add spices to that kli sheni. Rabbi Yehuda says you're allowed to go ahead and put it into anything, right? Even a pot, you could put spices into, as long as it doesn't have vinegar or tzir or fish brine, because those would speed up, that would really cook. But other tivalin, other spices, really wouldn't even cook in a kli dishon. Halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda, right? Rather, according to the other opinion, Tanakama, that says you're not allowed to put spices into a kli dishon pot. You're only allowed to put into a kli sheni. And when we say you're not allowed to put spices into a kli dishon pot, this is specific to spices. But when it comes to salt would be allowed because salt is not going to cook even in a kli dishon unless it's on the flame, right? That's the only time it's cooked with the salt will cook, and that's what the halacha is as well.